And we are back. Back again, chipping away at this quiet with Big Shooter. Actually, we're nearly done. We're doing the base today. We're doing the base today and doing the base on a few other members of the kill team. This basic commando needs his base finished, and I think this old squig, this old bomb squig needs some refinements as well. Oh, and the grot. Yeah, so I think it's perfectly reasonable to assume we'll get those bases done. Since I got the black areas of the base of our quiet space blocked in, we'll circle back and do the same for this bomb squig here. Now, I did this guy's base quite a while ago, so some of the materials on the base are the wrong color. Like those small vents should be orange. At least the frames. At least the frames of those vents should be orange. So we're actually going to paint all over. Just fill it in completely, essentially to start from scratch. Francois, welcome! How's it going? How's it going? I have not taken a look at the Chaos Knights rules at all, so we'll do a little bit of live discovery. Zero context going in. Our grot space has those gradients already established. Alright. So we'll mix in some London Grey with our black primer. And see if we can create a satisfying blend. Honestly, that's probably all it needs. Francois says, pretty fantastic. Just some soul stones to go on this Howling Banshee Wraithlord. Oh, very cool. A Howling Banshee Wraithlord. Does each aspect shrine have a Wraithlord in your Wraith-based Eldar army? I feel like that the Wraithlord, much like the old Carnifex, is ripe for reposing. And you can really flex into the different aspects. You know, depending how deep you want to go with the conversion, you could go pretty wild, right? Now, a Swooping Hawk Wraithlord might be a little bit more of a stretch, but I think a Shadow Spectre Wraithlord is right on point. You got the rifle, the ability to hold your weapon like a rifle. So you can modify like a fire prison type weapon. Oh, it could be pretty rad. And the Wraith Lord, the Wraith theme with Shadow Specters goes together like Chef's Kiss. Like it's perfect. A perfect pairing of themes. And what was this? Rakarth Flesh, I think. I think we base coat the orange areas in Rakarth Flesh. Francois says all but Swooping Hawk. Yes. Yeah, nice. That's what I was kind of intuiting there. Yeah, the Swooping Hawk's a bit of a stretch, but all the other aspects could probably have a Wraith Lord that would be... it's kind of an exciting project, Francois, I won't lie. Francois says, "Oh, not doing Shadow Specters until they release plastic Shadow Specters. But I'm doing Shining Spears. My Wraith Knight will be a Bright Stallion for that aspect." Nice. Yeah, plastic Shadow Specters. So like that is the next tier of surprise beyond the Warp Spider's Phoenix Lord, right? Like if GW's Eldar reveal included plastic Shadow Specters and the Wraith Lord, I would have been like truly be like dumbstruck, basically. Like what timeline is this? This is crazy. They're doing everything I would not expect them to do. You know, Artel is working on some new Shadow Specters. I am a little intrigued. I'm quite a fan of the Shadow Specters. I think they may be my favorite of the aspects. They might have got me with that one. I think Artel posted a render of the current design for their Prime. Yeah, I imagine GW probably won't do plastic Shadow Specters until they've exhausted all their other Eldar plastic upgrades, right? Like, there's other units that are old that might be more deserving of a plastic kit first, let's say. I mean, optically, they'll sit better with longtime fans as well. Or maybe not. Maybe the Shadow Spectre bias is more wide sweeping. We'll see how my scratch built panels on this quiet space here. We'll see how they stack up and read once paint is applied. You know, when the base is all black, I feel like it kind of blends together. It doesn't stand out as awkward. But it could be the case that once everything is painted and made legible, made easier to read, that the shoddy construction could look a bit awkward. We'll just have to wear it at this point. Shoot, maybe those smaller panels actually should have been left black. Or I have to make them in line with the... Yeah, I'll probably make them gray, so... A rack earth base isn't going to ruin that. We are figuring it out as we go. Francois says, after I finish the Banshee aspect, I'll be doing Dire Avengers. Ah, very cool. Classic Dire Avengers. I do wonder if GW is just sitting on a new Dire Avenger resculpt. And they just didn't want to preview it at the time. You know, I think they want to have things to preview. They want to keep a few previews in the bank, right? To drum up more excitement, maybe towards the Codex release. It does just feel so awkward that you're getting a new Osterman, but not a new Dire Avenger unit. And the inverse for the Striking Scorpions. Francois says, They're really bad. They're a really bad Forge World kit, though. Even the Falchions die isn't as bad. Oh, for the Shadow Specters. I guess so. I I I can't speak to the Forge World quality. Francois says, I would love to see an Eldar Baneblade kit, though. A plastic Lynx slash Cobra slash Scorpion kit would be amazing. Oh, that model, that unit rather, that chassis deserves it certainly. Though I don't know how keen GW is to create big vehicles. What's the track record, right? What's the track record of Eldar big vehicles? It seems like they're more than happy to make big centerpiece characters, Primarchs, epic heroes, like Avatars of Cain, right? I don't know if they're really down for like a Lord of War that isn't an epic hero. Alright, you know, they redid the Monolith, but that's a hugely like thematic center point for the Necron's range, right, and their aesthetic overall. So I want to give that Titanic unit a pass. You know, beyond Chaos Knights, I don't, unless I'm just unable to recall the particular examples. But how many Titanic units are GW? Like, how often do they make them? Francois says, I doubt there's a new Dire Avengers. There's new Dire Avengers. Their current kit is pretty nice. Are the current Dire Avengers... Don't they have the same sort of look as the old Guardians? New Guardians look so good. Like, this is such an awesome array of poses and heads. And even just the weapon, the build quality of the weapons looks so... It's such a step up. I feel like Dire Avengers deserve it, but to your point, yeah, Asterman, the Phoenix Lords were more of in need of a facelift. Flight of Icarus, welcome to the stream. Flight of Icarus says, people say their kit holds up, but Dire Avengers are a touch too short because of scale creep. And they don't have the little shrine like other Aspect Warriors. They actually do, Icarus. They actually do have that shrine. I thought the same and I was mistaken. Unless whoever corrected me was spreading fake news. But I believe they do have their little shrine. So I'm going to do another pass here to just kind of help our Wild Rider layer, help that Wild Rider's readability. Francois says they still sell Eldar Revenant Titans. They still sell Eldar Revenant Titans. That's in plastic might be more likely than a super heavy tank kit. Yeah, I mean, Forge World models aside, just in terms of like what, in terms of the plastic kits that GW has been making over the last few editions, right? They've made so many, but how many Titanic units have there been? I feel like not too many. Like, it's hard for me to imagine, as badass as it would be, that they would do the Baneblade approach for the Eldar Scorpion. It would be a glorious kit, to be sure. But they don't seem too keen on making those big models, and I wonder if it's because they're kind of difficult to play with. Like, just to be frank, from a state of the game point of view, it's hard to make those big chonker tanks work within the game design that's kind of evolved over the last few editions. Right? As someone who has been playing the Repulsor a fair bit, it's not the most conducive to the competitive format of things. But I don't know how much the competitive format influences what models get made. So maybe there's just a sales incentive. Maybe those big models require, maybe they just don't have as well of a return. Those big Titanic vehicles. Icarus says I'd have to look at their sprue again. Oh, Francois says new Dire Avengers are like 2015. Okay, fair point, Francois. They're not that old. Well, it's like 9 years old, but yeah, it's not terrible. It's not terrible. I guess they just look older than they are. I guess it was before they decided to start scale creeping things. Francois says, well, they're redoing all the big Forge World stuff in plastic for Horus Heresy. The Shadow Sword got combined into one box with their Baneblade, plus Orcs have their Gargant. Well, it's not impossible, Francois. I'm just... Look, I'd be down if it happened. It's just hard for me to believe it's likely. I also don't know how much Eldar likes some of the Forge World units. I get the impression they don't they don't like them. Is there like an internal rivalry between the Forge World writers or what the Forge World team has done? Sometimes I wonder with how Forge World units are treated. I think we're ready for some Wild Rider. Wild Rider. Francois says, I think if they felt like they sold enough of a Forge World model, they would redo it in plastic before redoing something like Dire Avengers. Hornets are great. That might make a likely plastic remodel. I think that's more likely, certainly. I think it's... We've brought, you know, a fan favorite from Forge World back in plastic. I think it'd be well received, and I think those smaller models, well, like, yeah, it's like a land speeder, right? It's very practical to play. It has a familiar kind of use case and behavior on the tabletop. Those big chonker vehicles, unfortunately, like they're a little hard to navigate in the competitive matched play style of mission, especially now with the board size now being smaller in modern 40k. Those big vehicles have a hard time. You have to basically make an exception for them. Oh, right, I'm supposed to mix this color. We don't want just straight orange. That would be crazy. That would be crazy. Francois says they would sell a metric fuck ton of Hornets if they were not scared of the recasters who've already been producing them. True, we probably wouldn't see the tank unless they did a new edition of Apocalypse. Yeah, I think for that kind of specialized game mode or mission pack, or usually as a game mode that's separate, right? You might have greater odds of seeing the Hornet, but I don't even want to call Apocalypse a game. It's more of an experience, right? It's more about the spectacle. Francois says that maybe the Revenant is too maybe the Revenant is too like the Wraith Knight to bother. They're pretty close to the same scale. Yeah, I actually couldn't speak to the scale between the two, but if that's the case, that is less of an incentive. But you have different Chaos Knights that are... you have one that's slightly bigger, right? You have the... I forget what they're called. You have the slightly bigger variant of Knight with the harpoon and the turbo cannon or whatever. The rapid fire battle cannon. Flood Vicar says, I've been thinking lately about transports for my Arbites. I kind of want to house rule it and let them ride in a Taurox. Paint one up in black and blue would be awesome, I think. Also a wheeled conversion. Oh yeah, the Torox wheel conversion kits, or wheeled conversion videos anyways, that I've seen, look so much better than the weird tractor tracks on the rear wheels. I mean, they would have a transport. How else do they rapidly get around, right? I think if you're playing a wholesome narrative or open play game and you got some arbities trying to hold things down, yeah, why wouldn't they have a vehicle? Francois says, well, it's a game and loads of fun to play, but it cannot in any way be competitive. Too many pie plates for that. Lol, but you can do best you can do is play for who buys the keg or the next game. Yeah, you're kind of hitting my point home there, Francois. Like, I understand that technically it is a game. There is a side who wins and loses, but it's... I feel if you're trying to power game in Apocalypse, you're basically trying to spoil the fun of what everyone's signing up for. And it's too much of a task. Apocalypse is such a task. And the reward is the spectacle, right? How awesome is this battlefield? So epic! It's that energy, right? Francois says, don't RPGs have a dedicated transport? Oh, that'd be cool. I honestly don't know. That would be sweet. Francois says, yeah, it's an Elysian drop trooper buggy. Francois says, power game, question mark? That's kind of the point of Apocalypse. That it has no limits, no holds bar. Legends, no such thing. Limit of 3 of a unit, no such thing. Okay, Francois. I see what you're saying. Maybe power game is the wrong way to phrase it. Yeah, the point is to bring out the wild shit. To bring out your Warhound Titans and all of that. Yeah, so maybe what I'm saying, or what I said, it didn't exactly wasn't accurate, let's say. It seems to me, because Apocalypse requires you to bring so much, and it seems to inherently be about the spectacle, about how epic what we're bearing witness to is, and that in turn makes it a very laborious, that's a negative word, right? But you can have fun with it. You have beer and pretzels, you have, all that. It becomes a very taxing thing to execute. Like, they're multi-day. Some people play Apocalypse games where the whole game is one round. Or, sorry, the whole day is one round. And it's a multi-day thing. And at that point, it seems unconducive to to trying to play hyper competitively. Even that I'm not exactly sure if that's the right way to frame it. There's something there. I have some. I'm getting that feeling in my brain where there's an issue around this idea, but I can't articulate it well in the moment. It would be some like an idea or a concept or even just thoughts that have to hammer out into like a script. Really work out the intuitions I'm feeling and see if there's any there or there. Flight of Icarus says RBTs can ride in an Imperial Rhino according to the Imperial Agent's Codex. But I like the wheeled Torox look, and I don't see any lore reason they can't have one. Yeah, look, while they could ride in a Rhino, the aesthetic is definitely worse for them than the Torox. You want that SWAT van, right? Like a Rhino feels too enmeshed, even if it is STC like everywhere, like commonplace, ubiquitous, right? If Rhinos even are ubiquitous in the Imperium, it's still an armored APC. It still feels too enmeshed in the Sisters of Battle and Space Marines, right? Oh my god, I just completely borked the orange. Why even have a precise brush? Why even bother? What is even the point? Francois says, Icarus, I saw a picture of them on GW. They have a transport, and it's a plastic version of the old Forge World Elysian drop troop buggies. Looks dope. Looks dope as fuck, to be honest. And almost got me to buy some RBTs. Oh, you know, maybe it was Palatine Enforcers. I was looking at Necromunda stuff the other day, too. Wait, what's the difference between enforcers and RBTs? Well, I guess it's Necromunda versus Kill Team. Is that what we're talking about? I will have to do the edges of these raised sections in orange as well, but I feel like I'll circle back to that. Hit these other bases with their top coats first. I mean, there's also this area here, which I feel is definitely a modeling, a construction error, but it's like a piece of plastic card that either was left jutting out or maybe got smushed over time as I was like pressing the model down so the glue would hold elsewhere. Flight of Icarus says you can't use RBTs at Necromunda as far as I know. It's also a bit different than Kill Team since they can use vehicles in the Ash Wastes expansion. True. Yeah, they all got different vehicles, right? Buggies and bikes and like grasshoppers, right? Some of them are riding bugs too, if I remember correctly. Just weird guys riding grasshoppers. Nothing out of the ordinary here. Flight of Icarus says, honestly, the army I have in mind is a guard/inquisition army where it's led by an inquisitor. That is a peak choice. Peak choice. With a couple of RBTs units leading into heavy Tempestus Scions. Yep. But RBTs are neutral as well, and you could always kind of spin them as like a local requisition, an on-site requisition, right, by the Inquisitor at the local planet or station or whatever. Breachers work that way for, like, you know, if there's a scenario on a ship as well, right? That's kind of the local requisition choices. And then I like the idea of, depending on your Ordo, you requisition the various different facets of the Imperium. Like, you can, that kind of dictates where you can pull from. And we saw that paradigm illustrated in the current Agents of the Inquisitor book and the battle forces that came out with the release. But again, it was just so, while I like the direction greatly, I feel like the rules were so fumbled with regards to realizing and facilitating how it, like the efficacy, the efficacy of what that should mean. I think the Wild Rider has to be applied first. I think the Wild Rider is what gives it the vibrancy, that undertone. Then you can put the brighter layer over top, and then it brings it down to a more reasonable illuminated color. Flight Vicar says Navy Breachers seem just so niche to me without boarding actions. I don't think it'd be very fluffy to see them in your standard war zone. Not without a specific narrative reason. I agree, yeah. It would have to be a scenario like I mentioned, like in the Sea of Souls novel. It's a fixed location. The whole story takes place, or the narrative. We're in a void ship, right? Ship-to-ship combat, right? Right, or... yeah, something to that effect. I think they are very cool for that use case. I feel similarly about Arbites though, right? Like if you're going into the heart of a... well, yeah, if you're just on a planet's surface, you could actually easily spin Arbites. Pretty easily. Pretty easily, right? Oh, your Inquisitor's going to root out a Gene Stealer cult? Well, yeah. The world dealing with the Uprising would have Arbites, right? Trying to look into the matter that would be sent to support you, much like Eisenhorn. Oh, I feel you, Icarus. I feel you. Yeah, I appreciate the breachers as well. In the same manner, awesome they exist. Great for scenarios like boarding actions or Gallo Dark or whatever. But yeah, in your average engagement, not likely to see them. It was just like peak cringe when competitive players were using them with Chaos Knights. Because they needed something to do actions. It's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, call down the Navy Breachers from their void ship. We gotta help the Knights do actions. Okay. You know, it's that peak narrative of competitive 40k. Flight of Icarus says a kill team match between a Chaos Cult and an Exaction squad is just the best use of them, really. Chaos or Gene Stealer cults. Yeah, I like that. I like that vibe. So now a bunch of these bases need a wash and a dry butt brush, probably. A bunch of them across the kill team. So that's probably the process I'm going to do after reviewing those rules. It's just a little hard to evaluate which ones have... maybe all of them require it, I don't know. That's the problem when you maybe start a project and then leave it and then circle back. Like, where did I leave off? Francois says, sounds cool. That's pretty much my guard infantry. I sold a squad or two. I think I have 2 squads of metal stormtroopers, some scions. The rest is all vendettas, medusas, and russes. Icarus says, I have the potential for like 3 different guard armies. Inquisition, Chaos Guard, or Krieg. And it's hard to pick between the 3. Ah, yes. Ah, yes. The the best exemplar of like a first world problem. I feel you though. It's tough. There's so many different ways you could go, and you're like, which way, what do I explore? Kill team is great for that, right? Because then you can sate the appetites of the ones you don't do, or the ones you don't commit to full scale. If you must only pick one to explore at full army size, maybe you do the other 2 as kill teams. Might not be a terrible way to go. It's a good alternative. Ordo Malleus Inquisitor, lots of monsters and demons around. Okay, riddle me this. You're an Ordo Malleus Inquisitor. You have some demon hosts. You have some demons around, as you're describing there, Francois. And a particular engagement requires you to ally in some Grey Knights. How do the Grey Knights feel about that? Do they just have to suck it up? Do the Grey Knights just have to suck it up? How do we parse that interaction out? Right, similar with Deathwatch, right? You're an Inquisitor. You have some Xenos in your entourage, in your inner circle, because you're an Ordo Xenos Inquisitor. And then you have to work with the Deathwatch. How do they feel about that? Francois says, no, the Inquisitor attaches to the Grey Knights and deep strikes with them. Oh, Francois says, I say do Krieg with Agent Ally with some Grey Knights. Oh, I see. And then you say, no, the Inquisitor attaches to the Grey Knights and deep strikes with them. Man. It's ruining my black panels left and right here. Icarus says, I feel like the Grey Knights and the Death Watch would be used to the shenanigans of their mortal Inquisitor bosses. Though they might be judgmental, I doubt there's much they can do. Yeah, my sentiments exactly. I think there'd be a lot of irritability, maybe. A lot of having to put up with it. Icarus says, though I thought demon hosts were pretty much illegal for Inquisitors. Could be the case. I'll defer to chat on that. I just remember they had rules at some point. It could be the case no demon hosts are allowed. Kamikaze Senpai, welcome to the chat. You say, hey, what the 40k? Right back at you. How's it going, Kamikaze Senpai? We're running a little late on looking at those rules, but I need to get these bases in place. It's imperative. You know what, now that I'm looking at this guy, I remember he had these very vibrant grenades, and I gave it a wash of, I think, Null Oil. And I think it just brought those grenades down a bit too much. So since we're here, and since I have some pure red on my palette from yesterday, I think we can give those grenades a little bit of love. Give those grenades a little bit of a good touch. Now the edges of these panels are fairly uneven, but I'm hoping a wash kinda makes up the difference. Kinda fills in the gaps. Fuck. Look at that overspill. Terrible. Just terrible. Kamikaze Senpai says, not great. Painting white is kicking my ass. Understandable. White is an annoying color to paint. You gotta build up. You gotta build up painstakingly or paint like subtractively. Start with your white. A white primer or an off-white primer, and then use a contrast just to get your grays in. And those contrasts will sit in the shadows and do their thing. The latter is much easier. But affords less control, of course. Francois says, I used an Ogroid Thaumaturge for my Eisenhorn Demon. Ah, nice choice. It is quite the demonic looking model. I think that should be okay for the orange parts on these bases. Let us hit those gray panels. Gonna do London Gray and then one pass of Dark Sea Gray over top, and then that should be good. And then we'll take a look at those rules. We have to at some point because, well, it would break tradition if I did not. Flight of Icar says, at Kamikaze Senpai, I certainly felt that with my orange as I was trying. My orange I was trying for last Saturday. I didn't even have that dark of a gray primer. You think if you painted your Vespid blue, they would look like Bug's Life? They'd look like that guy? If you paint them that, like, cobalt blue, as opposed to their, like, pale blue, the classic pale blue look. Personally, I like the orange. Reminds me of District 9 with their sci-fi weapons and their bug look, their bug aesthetic. Icar says there's a lot of cool ways to do the Vespids. Hell yeah. OMZ, welcome to the stream. OMZ says, you're a Vespid. How rude. How rude. I'm just here enjoying my hobby life. Painting miniatures, and I get called a Vespid. And he says, aside from that, your attention to detail is unmatched. Well, hitting me with a bit of a compliment sandwich there. An insult compliment sandwich. Okay, well, given that we've done most of the bases, I think I'm overdue. Running a bit late for the detachment review section. So let's shift gears. Shift gears. Let me move these aside to get some keyboard access. And we'll switch the scene here in OBS. Grotmas. Okay, so here we go. Grotmas calendar day 9, is it? Yeah. There we go. Okay, so Iconoclast Fiefdom. Iconoclast Fiefdom. Can I shift my view here a little bit? Perfect, perfect. Okay, what is the theme here? The Fallen Nobles. When the Fallen Nobles of the Iconoclast houses go to war, they are often followed by teeming masses of mutants, cultists, and heretic soldiers. Interesting. These odd mortals offer their chanted prayers to these towering beacons of corruption, worshipping them as mechanical idols to the dark gods. Rushing forward around the clawed feet of these gigantic knight suits, these cursed hordes scream battle cries. Okay, so it's about the mortal followers. It's a detachment rule that is not about really the knights themselves, which is okay. Let's see. That's the theme. Let's see how they go about representing that with the mechanics. So, detachment rule is dreaded masters. Titanic Chaos Knights units from your army have the following abilities. Dread Knight's Aura. While a friendly damned unit is within 9 inches of this unit, each time a model in that unit makes an attack roll, reroll a hit roll of 1 and reroll a wound roll of 1. Okay, so you bring cultists with your Chaos Knights. They get hit rolls and wound rolls. Some help with their attack sequence. And Chaos Knights themselves, from your army, have the following ability. Dark Sacrifice. Each time a Chaos Knight unit with this ability is selected to shoot or fight, it can make a Dark Sacrifice. If it does, select one damned unit within 6 inches. That damned unit must take a leadership test. If passed, destroy D3 models in that damned unit. If failed, destroy D3 plus 3 damned models. Oh, so you're taking mortal wounds regardless. In either case, then select one of the following abilities to apply to your Chaos Knights. Lethal hits, sustained hits. Okay, Dark Packs. And you have to sacrifice more. But you're not sacrificing your knight. So it's not the... interesting. And then you have Wretched Thralls. You can include damned units, see Chaos Space Marines, into your army for up to 500 points. So you have 500 points of cultists as batteries for your knights. Which I don't hate. I don't hate. Icarus says, I really love the theme of the Chaos Knights one. Like these kind of monstrous engines that collect a lot of worshippers like flies, and they just throw them at the enemy as they please. Yeah, this is more interesting. What's the current Knights detachment? It's like Chaos Knights as bullies, right? It's they force leadership checks, they perform better against battle-shocked units. They're working... It's a detachment. I can't recall the details in the moment, but it's in that design space. And so, having a... This is an interesting use of allies, right? Because now your opposing player has something to go after, right? They can go after your batteries, so to speak. Try and cripple you from being able to make sacrifices and powering up. Not the worst, right? However, what's the... I wonder how many cultists are... I wonder what the balance is. How many cultists do you want for your batteries, right? And they have to be within 6 inches, so you can't keep them safe. You gotta throw them out there. Interesting. Great theme, though. Great theme and great theme, and design direction. Yeah, really like it. Really like it. Flight of Icarus says, with accursed cultists, that's not half bad melee, I think. Yeah, accursed cultists are already pretty good at melee. So having the reroll hit rolls of 1, reroll hit rolls and wound rolls of 1 is certainly good. And you're right, Icarus, it does make the Knights a bit less of a stat check army, right? You're going to have a bit more balanced composition, right? You'll have some soft goobers if you're going just straight cultists, and then you'll have your knights. I don't hate it, right? Like you wouldn't for a thematic list for this. I probably wouldn't look at armigers. I'd probably just go for these towering gods, right? Really, use the cultists, the rabble of cultists, to showcase the disparity in scale, or the contrast in scale. I think visually it's awesome. And thematically. Anyways, let's carry on. Looking at enhancements. I'm going to enhance here a little bit. Profane Altar, 20 points. Chaos Knight model only. Each time the bearer makes a dark sacrifice, the maximum number of models are destroyed in the selected damned unit, i.e. if 3 if the unit's leadership test is passed, or 6 if it has failed. But until the end of the phase, the bearer's weapons have both lethal and sustained hits. Very good. Very good. As someone who dabbled with the Chaos Space Marines and their Dark Packs, yeah, having access to both, you have a similar enhancement over it with Chaos Space Marines. Very useful. Pave the Way. Chaos Knight model only. At the start of the Declare Battle Formation step, you can select up to 3 damned units from your army. Those units have the Scout's 6 ability. Also good. Also good, especially if you have loads of fodder throwaway cultists. Right? You can't ignore them. They're gonna get all up in your shit, even if they are weak. And the Chaos Knights will... Like, you're not gonna care as a Chaos Knights player to lose the efficiency of scouts to fall back from units, right? That's fun. That is a good one. Tyrant's Banner, 5 points. Chaos Knight model only. Each time the bearer makes a dark sacrifice, select 1 visible damned unit to take a leadership test instead of a damned unit within 6. Oh, that's cool. A Tyrant's Banner, so they can they see him no matter where he is. The banner adds just so much more visibility compared to a standard Chaos Knight. I guess your cultists get across the board make sacrifices. And Diabolical Resilience. Yeah, 35 points, of course. The bear has a 6-up Feel No Pain, and you can ignore any or all modifiers to move characteristic, advance, and charge rolls. Solid. Yeah, that's why it's so expensive. 6-up Feel No Pain on a model with many wounds is still good. Still good, even if it is rather lucky. Flight of Icarus says the damned keyword includes Beastmen and Traitor Guard with the Enforcers and Ogren character, as well as Cultists and Dark Commune. Oh, well, the clarification is appreciated. You're absolutely right. Yeah, I don't love the theme as much. I feel like the mortal worship... like Beastmen sacrificing themselves for... for the Chaos Knights, I don't love it as much. It's not as profane, right? You want to sacrifice the humans. You want to sacrifice what's relatable to the Dark Powers, right? That's the theme. That's where the theme is peak. But maybe there's some stratagems in here that work well with Beastmen and the Renegade Guard and the Ogrins and all of that. Avenge the Masters. Any phase after one Chaos Knight from your army was just destroyed, you can use this stratagem on that unit even though it was just destroyed. Until the end of the battle, the enemy unit that destroyed your unit is marked. Each time a damned model from your army makes an attack that targets that marked unit, that attack has a lethal hits ability. It's fun stratagem, gives a useful buff that persists until the end of the battle for 1 CP. And it's situational, but it's a stratagem, so you'll use it when it's useful. It's not bad. Wretched Masses, 2 CP, and the stratagem cannot be used to return a destroyed character to attached units. Pretty standard stuff. Is it worth 2 CP to bring back a unit of cultists into strategic reserves? Could be. Could be. Probably for mission play, if at the very least, right? Maybe it won't be the most useful for the detachment itself. You can't really get a unit in range to do any sacrifices or whatever, but for mission play, it's probably useful to always have that ability. That unit was your cultist unit was destroyed. They were doing actions somewhere. Well, now they're back in strategic reserves, ready to do actions again. Soul Hunger. 1 CP. Fight phase just after a Chaos Knight unit from your army has fought. If one or more models were destroyed as a result of those attacks, your unit regains up to D3 lost wounds. If one or more models from battle-shocked units were destroyed as a result of those attacks, your unit regains up to D3 plus 2 lost wounds. That's pretty fun. Yeah, so you can regen wounds, but you gotta work for it. It's D3. Pay 1 for D3 can feel less good. It can feel bad. It can feel bad. If it's battle shock, you're guaranteed 3, which I think feels very good. So if you fight something battle shocked, so if you have a battle shocked enemy unit, you might just be like, yo, I'm charging that way. I want to get some wounds back, right? It's not terrible. There might be some... Are there any Chaos Space Marine damned units that work with battle shocked or key off of battle shock? Maybe the accursed cultists have some interaction with that? I can't recall exactly. Francois says, makes me wonder if Imperial Knights will get to take some Mechanicus allies when they get their codex. That's not a bad idea. Yeah, that would be the way to do it. The Mechanicus is pretty tight with those Mechanicus households. Alright, Unrestrained Rage. Your movement phase just after a Chaos Knights unit from your army advances or falls back. Until the end of your turn, your unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which it advanced or fell back. 1 CP for a Knight. A Chaos Knight unit is reasonable and probably necessary. Probably a necessary pillar of a Titanic faction toolkit, honestly. Just so you can keep moving to where you gotta get to, right? Worthless chattel. I already like the direction this sounds like it's going in. 1 CP in your shooting phase, 1 damned unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, enemy units are not considered to be within engagement range of your unit for the purpose of selecting attacks for ranged weapons. Until the end of the phase, each time an enemy model loses a wound, while that model is within engagement range of your unit, on roll a d6 on 4-up, 1 model from your unit is destroyed. So you get a bit of... You can shoot at enemy units in engagement range with your cultists. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And, of course, there's a chance you might kill some of your own cultists. Which they're probably down with, if we're honest. If we're honest. I like this design space a lot. This is a fun use of units interacting with each other. This, longtime fans will know, is what I suggested way back for how Chaos Cultists should operate in Iron Warriors. In an Iron Warriors Legion. I think it's right on theme to ruthlessly blast your enemies. Even if the mere mortals are are in the way. And your reactive stratagem, preserve the idols, 1 CP movement phase. In your opponent's movement phase, just after an enemy unit ends a normal advance or fallback move. 1 Chaos Knight unit from your army, and you select 1 Chaos Knight unit in your army that is within 9 inches of the unit that made the normal advance or fallback. The effect, select 1 damned unit from your army that is not battle shocked and not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units and is within 6 inches of your knight. That damned unit can make a normal move of up to 6 inches, but must end this move closer to that enemy unit than when it started the move. Interesting. You move a normal move up to 6 inches, and it must end the move closer. It doesn't say. Well, it's a normal move, so you can't go into engagement range. It's not the spiciest restriction. Or, sorry, it's not the spiciest reactive stratagem, but it's on theme, that's for sure. Certainly on theme. I don't hate this. I mean, I think it's fun. I think it is a thematically rich use of allies, let's say. You know, initially, I think yesterday I mentioned what would the design space be for knights, because the knights are pretty, like, singular in the way they, in the themes they kind of exemplify, but this is pretty good. You know, I didn't exactly expect they would make a detachment based around the integration of allies, but I think for factions like knights, maybe that's the best route to go. Anyways, let's get back to the serious stuff. The serious business. Okay, so we were painting this guy, and actually, we've got to continue. We got to continue putting down paint, putting down some London Grey. Oh, there's the mess up. Not the worst color to nick the edges with, given that it's a decent color for chipping. Flight of Icarus says, I love the worthless chattel stratagem. It's got such an Iron Warriors flavor. My sentiments exactly. And the Blooded have a rule like that in Kill Team, where they can shoot an enemy if there's one of their buddies in melee with them. They can get hurt, but who cares? Very nice. Yeah, the Blooded seem like a cool spin on... Well, I feel like that could be said about any Kill Team. Kill Team certainly has a particular richness in its mechanics, which I appreciate. Flight of Icarus says the Imperial Knights also got a detachment rule today. Did they really? I had no idea. That's so funny. Get out of here. Okay, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Imperial Knights. Questor Forge Pack. Questor Forge Pack. Is it worth reviewing in full? Let's go back. Oh yeah, both knights. That's so funny. How funny. Yeah, let's do a little quick, you know what, we'll take a break after I put some washes down, give them time to dry, and then we'll take a look at the Imperial Knights. What appears to be a similar sort of template. A similar design template. You know, same, but different, but still same. I think it'll be that sort of vibe. Oh, Icarus says, I think the Imperial agents got one yesterday too. They've been doubling up on us. Yeah, I recall hearing that earlier last week. Suppose we can take a look at that as well. I wonder if it's anything interesting. But I guess the floor, or the expectations, the standards, the lay of the land is so low for Imperial Knights, or Imperial Agents rather, that maybe it's like an anything is welcome type of situation. That could be the case. Just add a bit of variation and texture to this panel, this wall, because it's going to be... It is very forward-facing, and I think it would probably be good to break it up a little bit. Flight of Icarus says, man, I'd love to have an AdMech kill team with 1 to 3 tech Build-A-Bear tech priests and 7 to 10 servitors with a couple special weapons. Oh, that would be awesome. You could have a tech priest and his combat servitors. You could have servitors built for all sorts of purposes, like, you know, in Kill Team you have unique utility to like break down walls, like the Breacher Ram and the Commandos Kill Team. could have a combat melee servitor, your DACA servitors. Yeah, good design space there, that's for sure. Real good. The good news is the second pass with Darkseid Gray only has to cover the top surfaces. So we're spending a bit more time on the front end of things, so to speak. And that last step will be quick. Where is the Darkseid Gray? I got it. Whoops. Now, I think an Agrax Earthshade wash with a bleached bone dry brush after the fact should tie everything together. Then after that, the bases get rimmed and really the kill team is done. How about that? The Orcs kill team arc will be complete. It's only 2 editions. Well, 1 edition of Kill Team Light. Could be worse. Could be worse. Oh, you know what? We do have to hit these rivets with metal color. That is a fast process, though, guys. That is a quick process. Let's just clean up these circles, these nondescript circular shapes. Icarus says, "Come to think of it, the pre-orders for the next box went up last Saturday. The 2 things I saw sold out were the box itself and the Kriegsman." Oh, Krieg are gonna sell like crazy. Like crazy. But that's good. It's good that it's not just Space Marines selling, right? And I kind of like Krieg more than Cadia. More than the Cadian look. As cool as the Star Trek Troopers shtick is, I can't help but feel Krieg are much more kind of quintessentially 40k than Cadians. And what I mean by that is I think they're more suited to the grimdark themes of 40k. Much more evocative. Much more evocative of your grimdark future. In the same way, I think Sisters of Battle are better than Space Marines. In that same kind of idea. I think Sisters of Battle and AdMech are both in that respect are better than Space Marines. They're just not as cool. Space Marines are cooler. Flight of Icarus says, I got my hands on a couple of Krieg boxes. They're the true... They're true grimdark, those ones. Yep, exactly. Francois says, scatter laser bikes are going to be great soon. Yep. Scatter laser bikes. Just zipping around and dropping 6 shots per base, right? Jeez. 6 shots, strength 6. It's not nothing. know, for something like bases, I don't think the coat being uneven is a problem. Oh, look at that. There's an edge that was missed here. I wonder how much of that I'm going to see if I do a review of all the bases. Look, that inside edge needs some attention. Jeez. Okay, let us see here. I'm gonna close the wet palette. Hopefully that's not a terrible mistake. I think his base is wash ready. No, it's not. We're gonna need the middle color. That's what's gonna be sticking out on a bunch of these guys' bases. A bunch of them are gonna probably be hurting for some dots and some spots. Right, the rivet here. It makes it, it's subtle, but it's important. Just checking for other missed areas. I think we're okay though. Right, our basic boyo. A little bit of overspill on the middle color I don't think is a problem. The wash should want to sit in the recesses, which should cover up the overspill, I think. And a metal nick on the edge of these sockets. It's just chipping. It's okay. Yeah, look at this. Look at this edge. That edge needs a layer. Terrible. Okay, the done pile is going off camera. It's going away. Rocket Boy looks okay, but his base is a little lacking, if I'm honest, guys. Like, isn't it kind of drab? Kind of drab, right? It is not like the rest. I mean, they'll all become a little bit more drab once I put the wash over top, but then maybe his base will be too drab. got a huge problem. The good news is it seems like most of the edges have been accounted for. So we can probably just focus in on applying some, I guess, some variance in saturation of these orange panels. Basically, you want some higher saturation away from the focal point. Actually, that's wrong. You want to undercoat everything in high saturation and then dial it back. I think that's already looking a bit better. Then towards the front, we just layer in a bit of this mixed Rackhearth and Wild Rider. I think that's the move. Okay, Rocket Boy is ready for wash. Comms Boy is probably needing some Dark Sea Gray by the looks of it. Yup. So we'll just give those a little bit of a layer. Other than that, the metal colors are all in place. The edge of that back panel isn't really hit, but there's a lot of dirt there, so maybe it's okay. I don't think it'll be an issue. Breacha Boy looks like he's already been washed. So we'll chill out on him, we'll keep him aside. But I do want to break up this one area in particular where the wash kind of pooled awkwardly. Other than that, I think it's okay. So keep him aside. Looks like he's already received the wash as well, our Scorcha Boy. Daka Boy's base looks good. Wow, have to give his base a wash. Knob, boss knob. Yeah, he looks ready for a wash also. The rocks already got washed, you can tell. But not the base proper. And our Slasher Boy. He's ready. Alright, let's mix up some wash. Let's mix up some wash. We got Agrax Earthshade. Maybe mix up just like a little bit of Lamian Medium in there, but not too much. Not too much. Icarus says there's just an unbelievable amount of design space for Kill Team. I could come up with a few new ideas all the time. Like Fraterus Militia would be another one. They could slot into his sister's army nicely. Oh. Would those be like preachers, the male preachers of the Sisters of Battle? I completely agree with you, Icarus. The Kill Team design space has got my house rules brain spinning. I think you could do Tyranids. I think that'd be very interesting. I think you could do a Talons of the Emperor. Very interesting. Terminators and Genestealer cult and Genestealers. A proper sort of Jesus, I can't remember the term. That classic matchup. I actually spoke about it on stream the other day, but I'm having a brain fart. I can't recall the title at the moment. But that's another one. I think there's also I love the idea of a Wings of Cain. Not the best name, but an Aspect Warrior kill team based off of Swooping Hawks, Warp Spiders, and Shadow Specters, similar to the Blades of Cain that exist currently. I think there's a template there that you could easily slot those into. Lots of fun stuff. And you know what else I think would be fucking awesome in Kill Team? A tactical squad. Just a basic, old school tactical squad. Special weapons guy, heavy weapons guy, sergeant. You got a guy with an Auspex probably, some guy with grenades. I think it can work. It would be actually really cool. A guy with a melt-a-bomb. You know, there's like... Maybe that would be the grenade guy. But, yeah, there's... I think that it's a ripe kill team for the pluckin'. Icarus says, sort of like an Imperial mirror of the Chaos Cult. Ah... Flight of Icarus says, Fraterus Militia are the temporary volunteer soldiers of the Ecclesiarchy. They can raise whenever they need to. I'm envisioning witch hunters, preachers, pilgrims, flagellants, crusaders. Yep, that would be very cool. Icarus says, honestly, it surprises me they haven't done the intercessors with an upgrade sprue to make them more like the tactical kit already. Yep, part of me thinks that they'll cash in on that nostalgia at a later date. They could even just bring back the idea of a tactical squad. And I think people would probably eat it up if, you know, you have your Mark 10 power armor with a few A few older Mark helmets in there, like with the stern guard. It's the nostalgia bucks. Be grateful you've been given this back after we've taken it away. Just like the Death Watch rules. I can't help but hate. I can't help but hate. And I don't particularly like yucking people's yum either, right? Like I have a few friends who are very pleased about the Death Watch getting their rules back. I just feel like the bar for what is worth praise by GW is so low at this point. Looks like I did not mix up enough wash. But I suppose it's better to mix too little than too much. Icarus says GW almost always the source of the problems they later solve. Yeah, it's the fucking the great scheme. The great fucking ploy. So let's just keep fucking living in the state of imperfection so we can start a new edition and fix all the problems with the game, right? Guess we gotta redo the codexes too, guys. It just makes sense. God. Why must I hate? It's the meme I made for the return of the Chaos Lord with jump pack. That's another great example. Everyone was so happy to get the Chaos Lord with jump pack back. I was like, why are we praising this? They gave it back. They're so good to us. Oh my god. The same thing will happen with Thunderhammers and Storm Shields for Terminator Captains. You'll see. You'll see. They'll release the model, and then people will make their posts on Instagram or YouTube community or whatever. Like, oh, I'm so happy to finally be able to use this unit again. Thank you, GW. Like, oh god. Francois throws out a ruffle emoji. I appreciate that. What else can we do in these trying times, right? But laugh at the absurdity of the situation. You know what? And you guys can weigh in on this. I wonder if her base are quiet with Big Shooter, if it's too orange. Or maybe it's not a problem, you know, weigh in and let me know what you think. But compared to everybody else, let me bring them all in here. It's all like a pretty good distribution of orange and black, but hers is particularly orange. Well, what are the thoughts? What are the thoughts? Should we make some of those, maybe this upper panel back here black? Maybe this front-facing panel in the middle, should that be black? Let me know what you think. In the meantime, let's take a look at the other knights. The other knights. The same, but different, but still same knights. Alright, this is... Let me catch up with chat first. Icarus says, I'm still unhappy about the fact we don't have many ranged weapon options for Chaos Lords. All power weapons, no combi weapons, or Heresy era tech like Volkite or Grav. 100%, Icarus. I could not agree more. It's absurd that like a Chaos Lord only has a plasma pistol. I think that's the case. I don't even think you can take a bolt gun. Kills me. Absolutely kills me that you can't have your pick of the litter for your Chaos Lord arsenal. And it's because that's what you can buy. It's terrible. Writing rules for how products are sold in our world, rather than how the world itself would work. It's like a ludonarrative dissonance at its finest. Anyways, Francois says boycott and riot. I mean, it works for social. No. Boycott is fine. I would. Let's just you could just boycott or yeah. That was a good Francois. That was good. Flight of Icarus says chaos equals melee to GW. Why would you ever want to have ranged? Yes, exactly. The Legionaries rules exemplifies it perfectly. Just a rule and ability that benefits in melee only because Chaos Space Marines are melee. But Loyalists can be melee and shooting. So stupid. Really grinds my gears. Okay, anyways. The Loyalist Knights Detachment is Questor Forge Pact. Exactly what Francois speculated. Bound by oaths of fealty or not, many knight houses enjoy close relations with the priesthood of the Adeptus Mechanicus. Yep, okay, so it is same but different. Cog-bound alliance. Imperial Knight units have the following ability. Sacristan Pledge. In your command phase, one model in this unit regains one lost wound. If this unit is within 3 inches of one or more tech priests, one model in this unit regains up to D3 lost wounds instead. How cool. A little repair. You're gonna have a little tech priest nearby and he's gonna get out his wrench, tighten up some bolts. I think that's fun. And Adeptus Mechanicus units have Divine Inspiration. If you're within 6 inches of an Imperial Knight, your AdMech units can reroll hit rolls of 1 and wound rolls of 1. Or just hit rolls of 1 if they're not within 6 inches. Which is, yeah, same but different. And the allies from the AdMech Codex, same breakpoints by the... Is it the same breakpoints? Yep. And you get Tech Priest, Dominus, Manipulus, Marshal, Skitarii Rangers, and Vanguard. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Okay, so... Enhancements. Imperial Knights Omniscient Champion, add 4 to the Bearer's Wound characteristic. Not bad at all. 4 extra wounds can make the difference between being alive on your turn or not. Right? 1 wound can make a difference. We've all been alive with 1 wound before, right? So by that logic, you're 4 times as likely to survive to your next turn. Okay, let's go to the next one. Knight of the Opus Machina. Imperial Knights model only. Each time the bearer makes a ranged attack, if the bearer is within 6 inches of 1 or more friendly Adeptus Mechanicus units, reroll a hit roll of 1. Oh, just free hit rolls. Free hit rerolls on your knight if you're near an AdMech unit, which you probably want to be to get your heals. So it seems like it fits right in line with the design direction. Magos Questoris, 35 points. Tech Priest only. While the bearer is within 3 inches of 1 more friendly Imperial Knights units, it has the Lone Operative ability. Interesting. I guess they don't have that built in, right? Oh no, I guess they would in their codex, like Tech Marines, but it would be for their faction vehicles, right? In any case, it allows you to hang out and heal pretty reliably. If your knight's alive, you can't be shot. What else does it do? In your command phase, select 1 friendly Imperial Knights model within 3 inches of the bearer, and it regains 2 lost wounds. Oh, so he does a bit of repair and hangs by you, turns him into like a little Tech Priest for your knights. And it's flat 2. Flat 2 is a good middle ground. D3 feels bad sometimes. Feels really good other times, though. And the last enhancement is Vocifer Magnificat. Imperial Knights model only. While an enemy unit is within 6 inches of the bearer, worsen the leadership characteristic of models in that unit by 1. And while a friendly Adeptus Mechanicus unit is within 6 inches of the bearer, improve the leadership characteristic of models in that Adeptus Mechanicus unit by 1. Alright, worsen enemy leadership. Improve your buddy's leadership. That's okay. Least exciting for sure. Least exciting and maybe least fun. I think being a little healer beside your knight with Lone Op is fun. Always getting reroll hit rolls from having a Tech Priest nearby is pretty fun. And plus 4 wounds, while not fun, is probably good. Pretty positive on that. Alright, Stratagems. Omniscience Grace. Any phase, 1 Sippy. Any phase just after a mortal wound is allocated to an Imperial Knight or an AdMech unit from your army, you choose either of those units, and you gain a feel no pain against mortal wounds for the rest of the phase. Pretty standard stuff. Useful to have. a useful counter spell. One Imperial Knights unit from your army that was just destroyed. You can even use a stratagem even though it was destroyed. Oh, it's the same. It's the same as the other one. Until the end of the battle, enemy units that were destroyed... the enemy unit that destroyed your knight is marked, and AdMech units gain lethal hits against the marked unit. Yeah, same as Avenge the Master. Bonded Imperative, 1 CP in your command phase, just before an Imperial Knight's character from your army uses a Bondsman ability. When selecting targets for that Bondsman ability, you can select one friendly AdMech unit within 12 inches of your unit in addition, or instead of selecting one Armiger model. At the start of your next command phase, every model in that AdMech unit is affected by the Bondsman ability. Look, I don't know the full extent or implications of the Bondsman abilities, but there might be some play there. There might be, you know, some... It might open up some new synergies for those... what can you have? Your Marshals and Vanguards? Your Rangers? I mean, the Manipulus has a decent gun, if I recall correctly. Right, so if he's leading a unit, and then you select that unit, then maybe you get some dope utility or something. Could be good. Machine Focus for 1 CP in your command phase, 1 Imperial Knights unit from your army. Until the start of your next turn, you can ignore any or all skill modifiers to weapon skill or ballistic skill, or weapons equipped by its models, like for hit rolls and wound rolls. So you can get minus to hit or minus to wound. Not terrible. If you really gotta break something, it's pretty good. Aggression begets aggression. In your shooting phase for 1 CP, 1 Imperial Knights unit from your army, or an Imperial Knights character unit from your army within 6 inches of a Mechanicus. Oh, you have to choose a Knight unit and a Mechanicus unit within 6 inches of each other. Until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by models in both units have Assault. Okay, you can shoot on the move. It's pretty cool, I guess. You know, you want to move a little bit further, get on an objective. If any particular knights have advance and charge, maybe. That could maybe open up something for you, but you might leave your AdMech buddies behind, which feels bad. Alright, your reactive stratagem is in the movement phase. Oh god. Okay, it's different. It's different. Your opponent's movement phase just after an enemy unit is set up or ends in a normal, advance, or fallback move. You choose an Imperial Knights Titanic unit from your army that is within 24 inches and visible to that enemy unit. Select one ranged weapon equipped by a model in your unit. That model can shoot at the enemy unit, and only if it's an eligible target. When doing so, that model can only make attacks with that weapon, and each time it makes a ranged attack, and a modified hit roll of 6 is required to score a hit, irrespective of the attacking weapon's ballistic skill or any modifiers. So it's 1 CP, Overwatch, but with one weapon, right? So Titanic units can't normally do Overwatch, which has been abused by certain units. Look, it's a change from competitive play. Let's be real. Competitive abuse has caused knights to lose the ability to Overwatch, but now you can Overwatch, but with one weapon, which might be the only one you want to Overwatch with anyways. Like, it's usually you only have one preferred weapon, right? You know, that knight with the triple barrel flamer might be able to make great use of this. Yeah, it's alright. I don't, I'm not a knight guy, but if you like knights and you like AdMech allies, I mean, this is certainly serving that theme. What is chat saying? For some reason, the rules don't interest me as much as the chaos ones. Yeah, I'm more. I guess that's just maybe personal bias. While I think AdMech are important, they don't excite me as much as chaos worshippers sacrificing themselves for their machine gods. Flight Vicar says, I think I'd much rather have few knights supporting my AdMech army rather than some AdMech supporting my knight's army. It feels thematically weird to have so few Skitarii, relatively. You know what? You know what, Icarus? You might be onto something. You might be onto something. That might be the source of my lack of enthusiasm as well. Well, what we can do is circle back to, what was it? The Imperial agents that were hidden behind the Custodians. What? Oh God, I didn't even have to go back. Terrible. The Veiled Blade. The Veiled Blade. Okay, Veiled Blade Elimination Force. The lethally efficient agents of the Officio Assassinorum ordinarily operate alone when stalking their prey. However, when assigned a particularly well-protected or formidable target, assassins from various temples may be brought together alongside other assets drawn from the military, ecclesiarchal, or judicial wings of the Imperium. Okay, so it's a theme for assassins. If you're an assassin fan, this is for you, I guess. Officio Assassinorum units from your army can use the Overkill, Soulless Horror, or Shieldbreaker abilities twice per battle instead of once per battle, but cannot use an ability more than once in the same battle round. You see, guys, the thing is, I have such a distaste for assassins that I don't even know the context of these abilities. I guess these are powerful once per battle abilities usable by the Caluxus, Vindicare, and Eversor, if I had to guess. Yeah, I can't speak to the value, but getting to use something twice instead of once is obviously twice as good. It's a lame bit of commentary, but that's about it. That's all I can provide. When mustering your army, each Officio Assassinorum unit from your army has the relevant Extremis ability shown on the right. And you must increase the points cost of each of those units by the shown amount. If this causes your army to exceed the points limit for the battle you are playing, you cannot include that unit in your army. Okay, so you forced enhancements. Or I guess, not enhancements, but Extremis abilities. Decoy targets. Calidus has an ability here. Twice per battle in your movement phase, you can select one other friendly infantry model that's on the battlefield and not within engagement range of one or more enemy units. The selected model is destroyed, ignoring any rules that are triggered when a model is destroyed. And this model is removed from the battlefield and set up again as close as possible to where it was destroyed. To where that destroyed model was and not within engagement range of one or more enemy units. This ability cannot be used more than once in the same battleground. What's the restriction on what you're fighting or bringing in? Like what units are those? There's no section here that says what you're allying in. Is it just any ally? Any infantry ally? One other infantry model is on the battlefield? seems useful. You can just destroy a character, so to speak, just to move it around or put it back up with full wounds remaining. Esoteric explosives for the Colossus. Each time this model is targeted with the grenade stratagem, one mortal wound is inflicted for each roll of each d6 roll on a 3-up instead of a 4-up. Yep, that's neat. You know, I kind of like that design space more. Just make reliable stratagems that are thematically appropriate better. Intraneural biotech for the Evisaur. Once per battle round, you can target this model with a heroic intervention or counter-offensive stratagem for 0 CP. I like it a lot. That's something I kind of wish Dreadnoughts could do. That's the kind of potency I would want from like these singularly like rare exemplary units. Right? I often say a Dreadnought should be a big fucking deal. And I think that kind of design space really suits it, because then it's like, oh, there's a Dreadnought there? Shit, it could heroically intervene for free, right? It really changes how you interact with an enemy Dreadnought. I like it a lot. Very cool. Micro Melta rounds for the Vindicare. This model's Exitus rifle has anti-monster and anti-vehicle 4+. Well, you know, if you're kind of turns them into a last cannon in a way, right? They should have called it Turbo Penetrator rounds. That was cooler. You got the Turbo Penetrator. Alright, stratagems in your shooting or fight phase. One Agents of the Imperium unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot or fight this phase. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack that targets a character unit, you reroll a wound roll of 1. And if that attack is made by an Officio Assassinorum model and it targets the enemy warlord, you can reroll the wound roll instead. Okay, well, your assassins can be better at it, doing their assassinations, which is good. Hyper Stims. 2 CP in your opponent's shooting phase or fight phase just after an enemy unit has selected its target. A 2 CP defensive stratagem. Let's see. You choose an Agents of the Imperium character that was selected as the target. Until the end of the phase, add 1 to the toughness characteristic of models in your unit. In addition, if it's an Evisaur Assassin, until the end of the phase, it gains a 4-up Feel No Pain. It's a defensive stratagem for your characters. And the Evisaur also gets a 4-up Feel No Pain. You'll only use it when you're at a breakpoint, or if it's your Evisaur, in which case you're looking for the 4-up Feel No Pain. Will Sapping Salvo. Oh, Will Sapping. That's better. Yeah, I hope a salvo is well sapping regardless. Okay, a Will Sapping Salvo. Your shooting phase. You choose an Agents of the Imperium infantry unit that has not been selected to shoot. And until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by models in the bear's unit have sustained hits 1. And if it's a Calyxus Assassin, until the end of the phase, change the damage characteristic of ranged weapons equipped by models in your unit to 3. It's good. That's not bad. Way to boost up your Brain Blast. Your Jimmy Neutron Brain Blast gets 1 damage stronger. Actually, I don't know the base profile. This is how much I don't care for assassins. Your Brain Blast is stronger. Okay, Orbital Oversight. Your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy target... Oh, look at all these reactive stratagems. Jesus, that's kind of cool. Okay, Orbital Oversight, 1 CP. Your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. You choose an Agents of the Imperium infantry unit that was targeted, and until the end of the phase, your unit can only be selected for the target of the range attack if your model is within 18 inches, or if you have lone operative, which I think all the assassins do, 6 inches. What up? Oh my god. Tyranids, I think Vanguard Swarm had of this, but god. Yeah, those kind of exceptions it's tough to deal with, man. It's tough to fight against. If you're playing with someone who knows their ranges and they know how far you can move and all of that, or if such units can perform reactive moves and now they're back in that threshold, it's like, oh my god. Strong, very strong. Blind grenades, reactive stratagem in the opponent's charge phase. You use it when an Agents of the Imperium Grenades unit or Vindicare Assassin was selected as one of the targets of the charge and not within engagement range, so you can't already be tagged. Until the end of the phase, subtract 1 from charge rolls made against that enemy unit. Or 2 if you're a Vindicare Assassin. Ensnaring Trap is at the end of the enemy's charge phase. You choose an Agents of the Imperium Infantry from your army that is within 6 inches of one or more enemy units that would be eligible to declare a charge against. Your unit can declare a charge. When doing so, you must select one or more of those enemy units as the target of the charge, and your unit does not receive the charge bonus this turn. So a kind of heroic intervention. But it's at the end of the charge phase instead of after something has made a charge. And if you're a Calidus Assassin, you have +1 to wound. Now it says you don't receive the charge bonus, so you don't fight first, but I wonder if a fair few of the assassins might have fights first. Flight of Icarus says, Turbo Penetrator sounds like something you'd get at an adult store. Yep, that's probably why they went with their Micro Melta, or whatever they called it. Yeah, Micro Melta. Yeah, Turbo Penetrator sounds funny. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to muster up enthusiasm because I've been not even bad touched by assassins. I just think they just bork list construction because they're so easy to slot into armies and shore up weaknesses. And as I've said before, I like weaknesses in a faction. I think it makes things more interesting, right? Like, oh, you can power up your Chaos Knights with these cultists, but now your Chaos Knights aren't as hard of a stat check for opposing players, right? There's a weakness there. There's also a strength from having those cultists because they're batteries, right? I think that's a good example of what I'm talking about. Yeah, so I just... yeah, look, if you like playing with assassins and having a detachment that just serves them, like, good God, why was that just not in the Assassin's Codex? Very odd. Definitely feels like a half-cooked, we need to get this out by this time, just bang it out, right? Just send it to the printer. Anyways, wow, we have gone way over time in today's stream, guys. Way over time. But I would like to finish off these bases. And I think all we have to do is give it a little bit of a dry brush. Oh shit, I forgot. I did not even check in with you guys. Omegon's twin says I am the most late. No problem, Omegon's twin. You didn't miss much. Just catching up on some old detachments. Let me check if you guys replied on my bases. Doesn't look like it. Yeah, the question was, Is this base too orange compared to everyone else who has a good amount of black paneling? Right, all other bases on these skill teams have black panels, but hers is especially orange. Is it a problem? That's the question. Should I go back in and make maybe this top panel black? Or maybe this front-facing panel black? I will await your judgment. Actually, is this... Oh, it's still wet. We're still not even dried up in here. Overtime. Overtime. Francois says overtime, like, is that a thing when you're having fun? It can be. It can be. You know, you play some fighting games or some... You can play games and go into overtime, right? Like sports. That's a thing in sports games. Okay, so which bases are still damp? I think this one. Who looks ready for a bit of dry brushing? That's what we gotta parse out. I did go pretty hefty with some of them, especially in the thinner vent areas. And these guys were ready from before. Perfect. Okay, for dry brush color, probably use up some of this Screaming Skull. I think the beige is a pretty safe color for dry brushing. For most basing schemes, the off-white, the warm off-white color is kind of the way to go. Is this too big? Maybe we won't use that. Maybe we just use that old brush. Yeah, maybe we'll just use an old brush. Omegon's twin says yes, too much orange. Icarus says, personally, I like it, but I'm not always a fan of bright colors and contrast. A dry brush wouldn't hurt, I guess. Yeah, a dry brush, definitely we're going to be doing some dry brushing. So we have a 1 vote for, dialing back the orange, 1 vote against. We'll see. At the very least, well, I'll tell you for free. I'll tell you for free if I settle on repainting her base, or not repainting it, but adding in some more black panels. That'll have to be done off stream. Yeah, look at that. Look at that dry brush. Can't go wrong with the tried and true techniques. Just picking out those edges. Add in a bit more of that lived-in feel. That looks like we've hit all of our spots. Francois says, I think it both ways, but some aggro stains would be cool. Okay, I see what you're saying. Like some weathering stains to the base. I think I can do a second pass on our base to give it a bit more of a stained or weathered sort of appearance. That's totally reasonable. I'm gonna dry brush these rocks, of course. Gotta paint your rocks, folks. Well, if Icarus says he likes it, and he's usually not a fan of bright colors and contrasting elements, well, maybe that speaks to the validity, perhaps. Let me just use some motivated reasoning to to get the outcome I want. Tell me it's good, guys. Just tell me it's good as is. Regardless of what I end up doing, I'll reevaluate her base. It's not a big job to just make a panel black, right? It's not a huge task. Oh, I see, Icarus. I see. So look at me, just reading, like I said, just reading what I want to see. Jeez, that's a bit harsh. Bit harsh of the dry brush there. Yeah, but regardless of the community consensus, let's say, I do think I'll just review it with fresh eyes and decide, perhaps off stream, whether or not to break up all that orange, or maybe it's kind of cool that she stands out, you know? Maybe it's not a bad thing. You could give it a dry brush and then, you know, it might not even hurt the scheme too much to do some sponging with some Agrax Earthshade or Brown Contrast or like a Typhus Corrosion type paint. You could make your own mud mix and sponge it on also. That is also an option. Might as well hit that little stone pile or brick pile since we're doing the dry brushing. Well, that's funny, there's just a big old gap there. Icarus says the minis always look much better a couple days later. Yeah, reevaluate it with a renewed framing. You know, a whole bunch of like fibers are coming off this brush too, so I'll have to go in there and blow them out with an airbrush or a clean brush maybe. Get all this junk out of there. Well, that's the team's bases more or less done. I could add some more weathering elements, some minor chipping and stuff. But the stream's gone on pretty long. Maybe, and I was hoping to wrap up this kill team today, but maybe we'll just do that on tomorrow's stream. Can't go on much longer. Can't go on much longer today. Alrighty, fellow hobby enjoyers. I'm going to do what to him now? Slenish smiles. Oh, we're gonna weather the bases and rim the bases is what we're gonna do. And by weather, I mean like maybe just use some like some sponge like this or something, and just get some brownish paint, and do a little bit of dabbing. Nothing too crazy weather-wise. But yes, we'll reconvene. If you guys made it to the end of the stream, it's very much appreciated. You are, as always, the real hobby heroes. Thanks to everyone who liked, chatted, shared in the hobby camaraderie, subscribed, and all that good algorithm interaction. It's very much appreciated. But with that, I must leave.